hard though, isn't it, when because you invest in things to simplify your own thought processing, and then when that doesn't work, it just throws everything off.
I think for me, my programming in particular, I'll just end up second guessing it all the time, which is like always the curse of not having a coach, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you've got a coach, then you're just going to have to do what you're telling you to do, unless it's something dramatic like twisted your knee up or something and you can't squat and then you need to change it. But if you do your own programming, to me, I always like this one talking about Andrew, about doing your own programming. You just second guess it all the time, change the exercise selection and all that sort of stuff. So it is what it is though. But I watched I just got straight on YouTube afterwards and cheered myself up by watching people strangle each other.
That's always a good way, isn't it?
I watched that. I watched first. Oh, I watched the Matt Byrne, the latest Matt Byrne episode, which they put up, which was a good one.
Yeah.
And I watched Adesanya rolling with the boys at Atos, which was good as well.
Yeah, before we get on to that sort of role, I've done the same thing with Matt Byrne, but I didn't watch it, listen to the audio thing when I was getting about.
Yeah.
For some reason, I just really enjoy listening to them two talk.
Yeah.
Got good chemistry, and yeah, it's just two guys chatting, like what we're trying to sort of create here as well, isn't it?
Yeah. Except at least we're trying to be a little bit more something like jiu-jitsu than they are.
Yeah. One thing I really wanted to get into more, like I said you this in the message, then I was like, why him and why Keenan and Inga fell out. That's just because I'm nosy.
What did he go into? He went into, by the sounds of it, Inga must have been at Legion and told one of Keenan's students that he was a smelly bastard.
Yeah.
And then Keenan just went, you can't do that, mate. Yeah. That's basically what I took from that.
It does sound like that, because then they went on to the thing about like Galval's uniform policy, which, see, I agree with. Like, after hearing the reason behind it, I kind of semi-agree with the gi policy, like having a white gi, because you can see when it's not being cleaned properly and they're not being the most hygienic, and you can be like, come on mate, it's a bit of there's a high infection risk as it is, and you just make it even worse. The rash guard thing, I think it's just the whole same argument as the Gracie Barra thing, and it's sort of like uniformity and this, that, and the third.
Looks good though, doesn't it?
It does look good, but
the other thing is as well, like I have my opinions about it, pros and cons, but I do like, one, that it looks good, and two, if you're part of that team, you're repping the brand, and like people know you're an Atos player, and like, you know, it's like why motorcycle gangs have their patches in it.
Oh yeah,
you're wearing a patch and you're part of that club. And, I don't know if that's what you want to do. Cool. I don't know. I know it's not cheap to train at Atos anyway.
No.
So I'm sure if you can afford to train there, you can probably afford to buy the gear as well.
True.
But buying all that is an additional cost of it.
Yeah.
So that's one downside of it, I'd say.
I think if you're gonna try and make it a policy to have to wear that equipment, make it more affordable.
Yeah.
Like that's been my main beef with the whole Gracie Barra thing. You're talking upwards of £100 to buy a gi.
Yeah.
And it's like you can get a gi for £60.
And then that's just for one session.
Yeah.
You know.
And then like I've heard that the rash guards and shorts, you're talking £50-60 a pop anyway. You can get a pair of shorts from Sports Direct for less than a tenner that's going to be suitable.
Other brands are available.
Yeah. And like, I don't know, it's just,
I don't mind it. Going off, kind of on that as well. You saw the video that Hinga wasn't wearing the. If anybody's not seen it, go on YouTube and just have a check out of Adesanya. I don't know what the video is, but it's on Atos.
I think YouTube. When I put Atos in the search bar, it was the first video at the top.
Yeah, so he's over there at the moment, or fairly recently, getting some training in, presumably for an upcoming fight.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, isn't it? I mean, he's a blue belt, isn't he?
I think there's an image I saw where he's got a blue belt on. Yeah.
And it's kind of like, you know, when people John Jones or Khabib or Adesanya, people see him with a blue belt and they're like, how the hell can the UFC champion be a blue belt in jiu-jitsu?
But then, like, we had this discussion before, didn't we? Sort of like a jiu-jitsu blue belt isn't like it's an MMA athlete isn't a jiu-jitsu athlete, so their grappling skill set isn't going to be focused on being this top-end jiu-jitsu athlete. It's either going to be to get off your back and up to your feet safely, or to take them down, keep them down, and find a way to finish.
Yeah.
Which you can sort of see the difference when there's an MMA guy sparring with a jiu-jitsu guy. It's a very different role. Like, you've rolled with MMA guys, I've rolled with MMA guys, and their top game is solid and they've got a great base, but it's not very flash and it's not very varied. It's just here to do a job and you're going to stay on your back because this is where I can punch you from.
Yeah. I mean, my grappling journey started in MMA. So for me, I've still got that MMA mindset. I certainly play a lot more now like a jiu-jitsu player than an MMA fighter. But for me, I was that guy.
Yeah.
Top control, top pressure, be in a position where I can punch you, stay on top. And actually, I still think that's a super effective way to roll. I think that is a way that people should learn to roll.
Yeah.
For a self-defense point of view, but the ability to control. But also, when you look at somebody who's super proficient at doing that, like Adesanya is, staying on top and punching you in the face, they don't look like a jiu-jitsu player.
No.
Because they're not going for Emanari rolls, let's say, for example, or anything like this. They might not be as familiar with the leg lock game.
Yeah.
I don't want to say that he looks like a good blue belt or a purple belt, which he is, but it looks like that.
Yeah. I think it's MMA. It has to adopt the old Bruce Lee Jeet Kune Do sort of philosophy of you take what works for you and you discard the rest of it. Now, showing Adesanya these fancy guard sweeps and omoplata and this, that, and the third isn't necessary for his game. Now, taking him down is a challenge, as we've seen in his MMA fights. Now, when we're on the footage, you can see the trouble that the Atos guys are having keeping Adesanya on his back. And that's what Adesanya needs.
Yeah.
Because if you're struggling to keep him down and Adesanya's not getting tired trying to get back to his feet, the person keeping him down essentially is losing the fight.
Yeah.
Because they're getting tired, they can't punch. Adesanya can get up to his feet and throw counter strikes and from all sorts of angles that are gonna do more damage.
Yeah, it depends what you're doing, doesn't it? Like, if you're doing it as a professional MMA athlete, you're not going to waste your time doing it like that. But in a playful environment like it was, there was high energy in the ball, but they were certainly playful.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Just jiu-jitsu is fun, and it could kind of be a nice playful departure away from the harshness of MMA training specifically. And just having that ability to play and be creative and flowy with it might be a nice kind of deload of training or a break for them. That's something similar enough that they get into practice of the skill, but something that you can do that's different. That's a bit of a mental break as well as a physical break.
Oh, of course.
It's not quite so harsh all the time.
Yeah, it's kind of like low impact cardio.
Yeah.
Like, because you always say, like, see with boxers, their cardio is road work.
Yeah.
Now, for me, doing that's where tradition gets in the way of progress. We all know the running's not the optimal kind of cardio, but tradition has it, and there's a lot of old school coaches that are gonna ingrain that in there.
Yeah.
Whereas getting Adesanya on the mat and doing a fast-paced grappling session, he's got to keep his brain thinking of what he needs to do, but also it's going to get his heart rate going, great cardio session, but it's not going to be tearing his joints apart because he's training with elite athletes who know how to train safely.
Yeah, there's not a lot of spazziness going on there.
No, not at all. I think all of that was coming from Adesanya.
That might be a bit unfair. you probably look like D-rolling.
Oh, you're better.
Yeah, if it was an MMA fight, bro, I would have knocked you out.
Oh, Stan, yeah, you know, that one bomb.
No, but to be fair, there is a bit in the clip of it, maybe I haven't seen times I didn't watch it too in depth, but Barbosa had an armbar, like traditional armbar from the side, and Adesanya is struggling to get out. He's not really got an answer for it, and Barbosa is just like, hit this with your hand, and then he kind of drill it, and then he gets out and they carry on. And that's kind of what we talk about all the time, isn't it? That catch and release, playful, more experienced player helping the less experienced player.
Oh, of course.
And the more experienced guys getting a different look at it as well, because everybody in the gym is a jiu-jitsu player.
Yeah.
So actually, the likelihood of them experiencing his game and having that difficulty to fight and take somebody down is not going to be quite there as if you fight an MMA guy, because a jiu-jitsu guy is going to be more willing to accept the takedown than an MMA guy.
Oh, of course.
Just because they're willing to play on the floor, or maybe they want the takedown to happen or whatever. But I think interestingly for like somebody like Barbosa, going off what I heard on the Matt Burn podcast, he's going to be having that, looking at continuing his MMA career. We used to fought MMA already, but I think he's going to try and take a deeper dive into it into professional. So
it'd be interesting to see that.
Galvao's done it.
I'm going to go out on a ledge here, and I'm going to say that Barbosa is going to have a better run than Galvao did.
Yeah.
I just think the circumstances around Galvao going to MMA was like he was still defending his ADCC title. He was still trying to compete actively in grappling. Whereas I think Barbosa, if he does it, I think he's going to step away from grappling a little bit and actually do what Gary Toner's done and just dive fully in. Probably still keep his hand in grappling because that's where his roots are.
Yeah.
But I can see Barbosa having a better run in MMA.
Some of the like one of the guys that pops out to me, somebody who's done that well, is Gilbert Burns. Like still an amazing grappler, but also an MMA fighter as well. And it's kind of rare that you see somebody get that high level in both. I think you can kind of get away with it to some extent, being a really good grappler at the lower levels. Because of the skill disparity there. But like if you're coming up against somebody like Adesanya who's just got awesome takedown defense, look at Damian Maia, amazing, but actually when he comes up against somebody who's got elite takedown defense, hard for him to get his game off.
Another ledge here. Damian Maia could improve his wrestling.
Could improve his wrestling, definitely. I mean, like, but Khabib's transition between striking and wrestling, even though it's pretty much as high level as you can get, his striking's not there, is it? If you didn't have his wrestling and his grappling skills, his striking is not at the level that he would be competitive with that alone.
But I think that would be in a striking only, in a more striking dominant match, whereas I find Khabib boxes behind his wrestling much better than any MMA fighter at the moment. Tyler Woodley did a great job of it as well, but I think working with, is it Javier Mendez? I think working with him, he's finessed that boxing behind your wrestling to find the openings, whereas I don't know the reason behind it, and from an outsider looking in on guys like Damian Maia, they've learned how to kickbox, they've learned how to grapple, but they've not learned the in between. Whereas AKA, it's a system of everything together, not a, it's not a, you're going to learn to box, you're going to learn to wrestle, you're going to learn to grapple. It's, no, you're going to learn how to use this, to use this, to use this, and also how to use this to get to that, and also everything in between. Whereas Damian Maia just looks like, I don't even think looking at his wrestling, it's very rudimental. Like, he's a black belt world champion, I'm not taking that away from him. But he's learned to kickbox and he's learned to grapple, and I don't think he's learned that in that.
The difference between grappling for MMA and grappling for submission grappling sport is that in submission grappling, both parties are willing to engage and maintain the grapple and exchange collar ties or whatever. MMA, if you've got Damian Maia trying to grapple you, I'm just going to step back and punch you in the face. If you can't take me down, I'm not going to let you take me down. Like the opponent's got the onus to keep it on the feet. So why the hell would they? But
True.
you might have elite grappling for submission grappling, but it's probably because your opponent's more willing to engage.
Not very true in that, but then at the same time, that same argument could be used for Khabib's career. But then Khabib was still able to close the distance and get hold of them. I think. I don't know. I'm not trying to take away from Damian Maia's career because he had a fantastic career. But
I think the main point that we're making, though, to go back to what we said about Adesanya, is the sports are completely different.
Oh yeah,
and to become an expert in one, you've got to narrow your focus in on that and do that.
Of course. I think looking at Adesanya and his training camps, he's doing everything right. Like he doesn't need to have the best ground game. He just needs to know how to stay safe, not get submitted, and get back to his feet safely.
Yeah, and he's an elite striker.
Yeah.
You can probably make the argument that he is on paper the best striker in the UFC.
Here's a question: would you say he is better than Anderson Silva in his prime? Because they are pretty much a carbon copy of each other.
Yeah.
Now, would you say that Adesanya's the 2.0 upgrade because it very much looks like he's emulating style and made those tweaks, or would you say that Silva is in his prime the better fighter, or is he yet to be proven?
I would say that Anderson Silva probably had more creativity in his striking. Maybe you could probably make the argument that I don't know because Anderson.
But then is that the era though? Because he had some very tough fights, but the sport wasn't as evolved.
Yeah, you look at his knockout, him knocking out Forrest Griffin, and then him getting knocked out in his last fight against Uriah Hall. Is identical.
Oh yeah,
isn't it? It's the absolute identical thing, which is so ironic. It's amazing.
And then watching the Adesanya versus Silva fight, did it look like Adesanya showed Silva too much respect?
Yeah, well, that was everyone's argument at the time, wasn't it? So everyone always said that Uriah Hall was the next Anderson Silva.
I didn't see that, if I'm honest with you. Like, great creativity, and the spinning wheel kick was the best knockout I've seen to date.
Yep.
But I didn't see that championship quality or that top three quality.
You said exactly what I was going to say that. So not having that championship mindset. Difference. Whereas Adesanya's probably got, they've probably got equal skill set. You could argue you've got either way. Like just kickboxing, Adesanya's better. MMA striking, it's different. I think it's that applicability of creativity and having the championship mindset to push yourself day in, day out in the gym to apply it on competition day. I don't know. I think I would like to say that if it was just a striking match and it was Adesanya now versus Anderson Silva in his prime, I think Adesanya might outstrike him.
Interesting. I honestly, MMA, I think Adesanya wins it. Pure striking. Do you know what? I think I've got to say Adesanya takes it and this is only because of Adesanya's experience in the pure kick striking sport.
Yeah.
I think without that, I can see Silva taking it.
Adesanya versus John Jones.
Now this one's a difficult one because body types make that difficult. So Jones is clearly the stronger and longer athlete, but if you take away attributes and we look at it purely on skill set,
are they not roughly the same height? I know he's a bigger guy, but they're about the same height, aren't they?
I don't know.
You've got I think I'm gonna look.
Yeah, Google. But I think skill set wise, John Jones. I think as an all-round fighter, John Jones is pound for pound the greatest. But in a actual tactical and actual fighting we've got to give that one to Khabib. And then Jones versus Adesanya. I see Jones taking it purely on his wrestling.
Same height.
Is it?
Yeah, same height.
No.
Yep. So I thought they were. I think John Jones, and again, it's probably down to that creativity, would be able to impose not necessarily his game, but a game onto Adesanya and adapt better with more, throw something at him that he wasn't necessarily, have that creativity to adapt and pivot in the fight to change it up. That being said, he pretty much got fucked up off Dominic Reyes in the last outing. But it's all matchups, isn't it?
Yeah.
Matchups and styles.
I can't really speak properly because I've not watched that fight. Like, I'm probably going to get ripped into for that.
You know what the fuck you're talking about.
But was that Jones having an off day? Like we all have it.
Championship mindset goes back to that, doesn't it?
Yeah.
He's very, well, he's been known to be up and down in terms of his preparation, but I think in that one he wasn't, the suggestion wasn't there that he was kind of messing around with his preparation.
Yeah, I'll have to go back and watch that one. Because like, I was thinking with that same question, you've got Khabib versus Jones. Now, this one I think we do have to take attributes out of it because the size difference is ridiculous.
Imagine a heavyweight Khabib.
That would be scary.
Horrible.
Oh. But I can see Khabib, say the kept like the ratio like ish, right? And they both met in like a middleweight, so they're both in happy medium and they're both down in this weight. Give Khabib a little bit more height and width and reach, take a bit of John Jones's away. Not too much though, because
I don't know. He's about, so Khabib, aside from weight, is similar. He's a similar build to me, I think, in terms of height and weight when he's walking around. And DC's about that sort of height. DC's massive in terms of, he's a heavier guy, isn't he? He's about 5'11", something like that. And Khabib's roughly about the same, isn't he?
Yeah.
And I'm not sure whether he'd need any additional.
Khabib looks short though, doesn't he?
It's confusing. I think the welterweight division is the most confusing one because you look at the weight of it's 77 kilos, isn't it?
Yeah.
Every single one of those guys, you can guarantee pretty much at least weighs 90 kilos, which is the same. They're cutting down like 15 kilos.
But then Jones cuts down like probably from 10 kilos from his weight as well.
Yeah, well, I think normally when he's walking around, he's not got a fight coming up. He's like 230 to 240, coming down to 205. He's a big dude, isn't he?
Yeah.
He looks skinny.
Yeah.
But it's just because he's massive.
That's it. Cause like the way I was thinking is like, say, so you get the average, because Khabib's lightweight too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you get the average lightweight and you put Khabib's sort of reach, height, and things like that, and then keep the right ratios from Khabib to the average lightweight, and then you do the same for light heavyweight and keep. So say John Jones has got an extra 3 inches on the average light heavyweight. You keep that sort of ratio again, and you get them both to meet in the middleweight division. So they both got the same ratio of reach and stuff because that plays a big part into it. And you put them in the cage together. I see Khabib taking that. Like, I can't see him taking him down in the first round because I think Jones will keep away, but that's second, third, fourth will be Khabib's.
How much better then in that same argument do you think Khabib is than DC?
I think Khabib absolutely twists DC up in wrestling, if I'm honest with you.
Yeah.
And I think Khabib holds his own MMA sparring with DC, bearing in mind that DC probably pulls back a little bit because of the size difference. But I think Khabib wins that fight 9 times out of 10. And that's not taken away from DC, because DC, I prefer DC as a fighter over John Jones. And every Jones and DC fight, I've rooted for DC. And I actually thought in the last fight between Jones and DC was winning that fight until that head kick. And I think I'm always going to say that on paper, DC is a better fighter than Jones. Just on the night, Jones is better.
And that's what I was saying about he finds a way always to
Oh yeah,
look at who
always.
he's fought from the age of being like 23 or whatever. All championship fights against, arguably some people coming towards the end of their career, but all still dangerous.
Oh yeah.
And every legend of the sport he's fought.
Yeah.
And always found a way to impose as well.
Like what was it 23 when he beat Shogun? Like, and he put Machida to sleep, like legit black belt. Did he beat Maya? Damian Maya? Because Damian Maya is he like heavyweight or something?
I don't think so.
Pretty sure he was heavier at one, unless it was middleweight to welterweight.
I'm not sure that he fought Maya, to be honest, although I couldn't say for definite.
But it might be middleweight to welterweight that Maya's gone then. But he's beat like everyone. Yeah. Like I've got like from that Stephan Bonner fight, I was on the bandwagon from that fight there. But yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting discussion.
It is an interesting discussion and one that we probably never see happening because John Jones looks like he's gone back to a powerlifting career now.
Has it?
he's shifting some heavyweights around.
I think he's one of the people that just never he can never stay still.
No.
He's always active. Like one thing I went through down a rabbit hole of this, but watching John Jones training his dog.
Yeah.
That is some scary. Like as a scary dog that like. And he drives around with in this car. So if he cuts somebody up and starts getting argue with him, they just go.
You've got John Jones.
You've got John Jones and his dog.
He wins in that fight.
Oh,
John Jones versus his dog. Go.
Oh, Jones, because he just tells his dog to sit down, but he talks him out.
That's another interesting point as well, isn't it? Because literally he can't sit still. Archery, weapons, dog training, MMA training, powerlifting, whatever. But to have that absolute championship mindset, you've got to be full on, balls deep, 100% commitment and focus on to doing what you do.
Yeah.
And that's true in every sport, isn't it?
Oh, of course, yeah. Like that goes back to sort of Galval then, doesn't it? And your Gordon Ryans and your Nicky Rods and everybody else that's in the grappling scene. Like,
so you've been controversial a couple of times today. I'm going to say it. It's like you've got to almost be autistic on some degree to have that level of focus, to focus your brain on it, to be that elite.
There's that safe argument there though, where it's like there's going to be a degree of being on the spectrum, because of the understanding of the skill that goes with it, which I think it's probably safe to say that there's a lot of people that fall in that bracket.
Yeah, definitely. And people find different sports, and that's why you've got people at such levels in different sports. But you see common characteristic traits. Yeah. And I look at myself when you compare people to people like this. I don't have that level of OCD, obsessiveness. Like I'll get very obsessive about stuff, but not to that level. Yeah. So I know for a while I'm never going to get to that level. I can make an accurate assessment about myself because I don't have those characteristic traits. I can be good, but I'm never going to be elite. Yeah. Like
it's like Gary Tonan's been very vocal about his ADHD. Yep. And grappling was the only thing that he could put his attention onto. So yeah, I think there is a degree of certain athletes needing that to hone their focus, and I think it's because it's a mental and physical challenge at the same time. It's probably the right combination.
What a perfect cocktail though, when you look at Gary Tonin and Gordon Ryan both ended up with John Danaher. True.
That is. Well, I heard, do you know Eddie Cummins? Yeah. Obviously, you know Eddie Cummins.
Is he right?
Oh, yeah, he's about 6 months in, Yeah. He's only just done, like, he only helped, like, innovate the leg lock system.
What's that?
Just where you, like, tick on legs and whatnot. Yeah, a bit of foot sick.
So what was the story behind it? Because, again, Cameron never got to the bottom of that, did it?
He disappeared, didn't it?
Champ, and then just disappeared out the window.
The rumblings and rumours that I've been hearing, I went on like a Reddit deep dive, just out of boredom, and the sort of different things that I was hearing, and this is from other people that I speak to as well, like while Cummins was being like Danaher's the UK, or I don't know why he's just a training partner. He's just a body that you demonstrate on. If Cummins would move the wrong way, like he'd just snap it on, and apparently his joints are destroyed, and that's why he's no longer competing.
Well,
and
Danaher's got a nasty side.
Dare I say it, but slight cultish thing going on in the blue basement. Dare I say it? Probably going to get trolled, but don't care. It's slightly cultish there.
It's not the first time you've been trolled on this.
No, it's
podcast,
not.
Is it?
No. And Turtle, I will roll and I will show you how nasty a turtle can be.
You've made him angry now.
Yeah.
Let's dive over the topic. I've completely forgot about it, and I forgot who it is now, but I'm going to check. But correct me if I'm wrong or if you've seen it. Doesn't Rumble Johnson have a grappling match on the submission on the ground against Ryan Bader? Is that right, or am I talking out of my ass?
It sounds right. But do you know what? I've not checked in any recent matches. I saw is it Nicky Ryan's got a match coming up soon, and one of the Real Tollers have got a match coming up soon as well. One thing I'd love to see is Nicky Ryan and Ty Ruotola in another match.
It's Derek Lewis versus Ryan Bader.
Derek Lewis. Which one's Derek Lewis? Heavyweight. Like
this is interesting actually. So like aside from the actual jiu-jitsu matches that are on the card, if this is right, and I'm reading this right, we've got Bader versus Lewis, Cerrone versus Dos Anjos, and Rumble Johnson versus Verdun. All on grappling matches.
It's quite interesting, to be fair. I wouldn't mind seeing the Cerrone versus Dos Anjos. Verdun is going to absolutely twist up Rumble Johnson.
Unless he comes in like Blimp Johnson and he's weighing 300 pounds.
True, but I still think I didn't rate Rumble Johnson as a grappler.
What do you mean when he got subbed by Craig Jones in 10 seconds? Like everybody else.
Like you can't take that away from him because
Craig Jones is nice though. He just put it on a bit.
No, Craig Jones, he is the epitome of a gent in the grappling scene.
Yeah.
Like with the what was the other match? The one with Chael Sonnen, like that Chael Sonnen sort of monologue of him talking about the Craig Jones match is the best thing. If you've not heard it, put it in and then go and watch the match, and you'll be like, "That's impressive." And even to stop the Vinny Magalhaes match, to be like, "Mate, I've just exploded your knee. Are you okay?" It's like, yeah, keep going. Pop. Are you sure you're okay? Telling the referee. Like, you can't fault that guy. No.
Nicest guy in grappling.
Yeah. And
although that being said, he wouldn't have anything to do with you mate Jerry when he wanted to.
That was the funniest thing. Like backstage, Grapple Fest, Jerry is trying to give Craig Jones his jacket.
Jerry's one of the science students. Got absolutely shit-faced at Grapple Fest. Fairly early doors on the whiskey and ended up being backstage somehow. Basically trying to pawn his leather jacket off on Craig Jones for some reason. I don't know why, I never got to the bottom of that.
He offered him to come back to Manchester for a night out as well.
Yeah.
Craig Jones politely declined.
Yeah. And then right just before, I don't know why, Lachlan had come out from the back. Maybe come out to get a drink or whatever, go to the bathroom or whatever. But he's trying to get back because Craig Jones is basically fighting next and he's cornering him. And Jerry's there twisting his ear off for about 20 minutes. And Lachlan's doing that thing where he's being quiet and like smiling and nodding, but trying to turn away and get away. Well, Jerry's just following him and tuning his ear off. And I'm watching it. Jerry's basically he's swearing around all over the show. Lachlan's trying to be as polite as he can and start edging away and just can't get away from him.
That was a brilliant. I didn't see that bit, but it was just the Craig Jones. I just wish that there was that footage there.
Yeah.
Yeah, just keep it the phone. Be like, yeah, that's brilliant. That.
Not so nice guy, Craig.
Gotta say though, because that same night as well, I'd spent a bit of time talking to the Rotola twins, recommending them some great takeaways for great food places. Some of the most polite, I daren't call them kids because they're 18 now, but some of the most polite people I've ever seen, like, their parents have raised them really well. Like that's the only thing I can say about it. Like, speaking to them about their match and asking them about what they were doing, and so polite, like really nice guys.
There's a level of that, isn't there? Like, I mean, some MMA guys or grappling guys have got a bit of a, you know, there's some degree of ego there with some people. But I think just in general for fighters, whether we want to call jiu-jitsu players fighters, but they're humble because they've got nothing to prove. So it's kind of like, it's a very open, friendly sport. Everybody's willing to be pleasant with each other, or, you know, welcome you to an open mat, or just talk. Because there's no ego there, is there? Well, there's certainly much less ego than in general day-to-day life. Yeah. You know, like alpha male ego, and that, you know, they are alpha males, they're fighters, but they've not necessarily got a chip on their shoulder to prove. And you see that quite a lot.
Yeah, you get your ego beaten out of you on the mats.
Yep.
Like, because I remember my first 6 months, like, I think everybody who starts jiu-jitsu starts off with a bit of an ego, especially being, if you've gone there as somebody who lifts weights and you fancy yourself as being quite strong, you go there and get absolutely hammered for the first 6-12 years. It's very hard to maintain that ego, and it's a very humbling process. Like, I still in my first session, I think it was 50 kilo purple belt, rolled with them, and I might have been about 95 kilo, typical 19-year-old, straight from the gym. Like, I can bench, I can squat, I can deadlift. Turned into a pretzel by this 50 kilo, like, purple belt, and I was like, wow, I need to do that. I need to learn how to do that to people. Yeah.
Well, the people who don't have that realisation just start around me, don't they?
Yeah.
They like that, no shit.
Yeah.
If it was a fight, I'd just punch you in the face.
It's like, if it was a fight, I'd punch you back.
That just reminded me of something else. I sent you a video about that Krav Maga thing, didn't I?
Yeah.
Maybe we can record a split video on this, because there's no space to record it on. Maybe we'll put it up with some bonus footage. Yeah. These fucking videos have got like 45 million views.
I don't get it.
What the fuck?
Like live sparring? No, it's not live sparring.
It's embarrassing. We're gonna have to do it as like a spoof video recording one time, but. I don't know why these videos have got so many views. Are people just going to them and watching them because of the hilarity of them, or like, are they going like, that'd work in a fight?
Yeah, I think it's the latter. Like, I think people genuinely believe that'd work in a fight purely because of marketing. Because if you're uneducated and you hear this martial art is used by the Israeli military and it's gun defense, knife defense, yada, 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 you're going to think, I need to learn that, because if the military learn it, I can learn it. It's like, no, learn to box, learn to kickbox, learn to wrestle.
I'm gonna guess that fighting a Krav Maga guy isn't going to be a pleasant experience.
No.
But the fucking techniques that they show are dog shit.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's all I can say about it.
Like, they sort of be like, oh, well, I'll just strike you in the groin. It's like, you do realise that if we're grappling and you're biting and eye poking and stuff, if I'm in a dominant position, I will be doing the exact same stuff to you in a nastier manner.
And plus also, people get poked in the eyes or kicked in the dick or kicked in the fucking head, elbowed in fights, in MMA fights, and they carry on. It's not the end of the fight.
Debilitating, no.
You're going to bleed and you're going to be a bit disorientated, and it carries on.
How many times have you been caught with an elbow or a knee during a scramble?
Yeah.
And it's not a little tap, it's my eye cut, it's my lip cut.
Yeah.
It's a full-blown and the adrenaline of the situation and everything like that, you keep going. You don't notice it. Well, you do notice it, but you don't notice it at the same time.
Yeah, you know it's happened. It's a roll, so you might stop for a second. You're like, oh, I'm not bleeding.
Yeah.
Right, carry on. It's not like you needed to stop. So yeah.
I remember the last time it happened to me, and I think I ended up in like the top position, and I just felt the mouse in my eye just sort of droop down straight away. And you know, when you're sweating that much, you're like going, I think I'm cut open. So I sort of like stopped in top position. Obviously, still like we were both still alive, but I managed to like pin him, and the fluid dripping from my face wasn't red. I was like, I'm not bleeding. I can carry on.
Yeah. Because you know the best thing to do if you are bleeding and somebody's cut you up, if you're on top, you just shake it.
Yeah.
Just let them have a bit of it back.
Yeah.
Well, that being said, the other thing that pisses me off as well when I see it, and I know I sound like a complete wanker, is when you
it's like it's your turn to moan this week.
We had quite a relaxed week last week, and I've just seen a lot of things piss me off on the internet this week. Fucking rear naked chokes and submissions in Hollywood movies. Like, please, just somebody get it right. Honestly. Have you ever seen one? I've seen one movie where I marked, that was a good joke. And I can't remember what it was, and I remember sitting there at the time thinking, that was decent now. That might have put somebody to sleep. How many times have you seen a movie where it's like the weakest joke that you've seen in your life? And you just sat there going, that's dog shit.
Do you know what reminded me of? I was watching It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and there was a scene where the character Mac is trying to joke out with the character Charlie, and he ends up putting himself to sleep. That's like a picture. But I've got to give some films the due. Like, what's the one with Matrix guy?
Matrix.
No, the other. John Wick. John Wick. Like, they're choreographed with grappling in mind. Yeah. And I've seen them pull off a triangle and armbar and stuff in there. Obviously, they've got to jazz it up. But like, I think they need to be.
I think Keanu Reeves might be.
That's his name.
Yeah, Keanu Reeves, the Matrix guy. He was also in the Matrix. What was that film about martial arts like with the Matrix guy? Who's the Matrix? But he must be like the best white belt in the world because he's gone through 3 movies. He's still got a white belt.
No, Ashton Kutcher's the best white belt in the world.
Ashton Kutcher should make a remake of all the John Wick movies, scene for scene with him being John Wick.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. Craig Jones is a nice guy though, isn't he? When he was rolling with Ashton Kutcher, he made him look really good.
No, he didn't.
He made him look really
good. Ashton Kutcher looked really bad.
And on that note, I think if Ashton Kutcher wants to come in and
we'll have a contactless role.
We'll show him the turtle techniques that he showed Simon's famous turtle.
I just snotted all myself.
That's fucking tickled me properly, hasn't it?
Oh wow. I feel right hot now.
Oh, I love that 70s show though.
Yeah, that's a quality show that.
Yeah.
And 2.5 Men, he was decent as well. I quite enjoyed The Replacement. I prefer Charlie Sheen, although 2.5 Men wasn't my kind of humour. I did enjoy the odd episode.
I enjoyed 2.5 Men with Charlie Sheen because I felt like it was just they turned the camera on and just recorded Charlie Sheen living in a house with 2 other people.
Yeah. Like he looked like last time I saw him in a video, he looked like he'd been on a 6-month binge, hadn't slept, and was still tooting the rock.
I mean, talk about method acting. He said that Daniel Day-Lewis is the best, but Charlie Sheen went balls deep for that role.
I thought you were going to say meth acting.
Method acting. You're on fire today, mate.
Oh man.
I don't think I've got anything to add to that.
No.
Go and check out the Grapplers Academy on YouTube. We've got loads of great videos.
Give us a follow, give us a like,
Yeah.
comment. If you've got anything to say back about our little Adesanya versus Silva versus John Jones discussion, drop us a message.
I don't even care about that. I want to know whether people think you can fuck up Ashton Kutcher in the fight or not.
But you can't have contact though.
Yeah.
Like you've got like a capoeira style grappling.
Legitimately though, before we wrap this up, Ashton Kutcher has a brown belt. I'm not going to say he is a brown belt, but he has a brown belt. John,
I've got a brown belt.
Keanu,
My suit. Got a brown pair of shoes as well.
I'm just trying to think of what would be a really good matchup for Ashton Kutcher. Like, what would be a competitive matchup? Serious question. Serious question. Who do you think Keanu Reeves would beat Ashton Kutcher in a match?
I genuinely think Keanu Reeves would twist him up. I think the guy that plays not Ted Bundy, Al Bundy from
Well, he's a legit black belt, isn't he?
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like
Legit.
I can't remember his name now.
He's been training since before it was a thing, isn't he?
Is it Machado? Is his coach?
Well,
Pretty sure it's Egan Machado. Yeah, same coach as them.
Yeah.
I don't know how. Oh, I'm sorry. No, when I saw that video, I was like, that tickled me. I thought like it was fancy dress.
Who do you think would be a good matchup? I want to. Chael Sonnen needs to put on a celebrity matchup as an exhibition with Ashton Kutcher and whoever the closest.
Oh, who was that WWE wrestler that did the 2-year? He had the MMA fight.
Oh, CM Punk.
Yeah, CM Punk versus Ashton Kutcher.
That'd be a good match.
Still think CM Punk will twist him up.
I think so as well, but that'd be a good match.
I think that's the only. There's only 4 strike white belts, so like.
Uncle Chael, get on, kick Cerrone versus Dos Anjos off your card.
Yeah.
And put on
Ashton Kutcher versus CM Punk.
It's the money fight.
Let's put Ashton Kutcher versus Brock Lesnar and see who comes out on top.
No, that's not fair, Brock Lesnar. Ashton Kutcher versus CM Punk. Let's say it, red panty night.
Yeah. And the blue belt will come out on top.
Yep.
I think CM Punk will be probably perfect about now. It's been a few years if he's still training.
Yeah, I would imagine so.
And on that note, make sure you hit us up on all the socials, the Grapplers Academy on Instagram and Facebook, the Grapplers Academy on Spotify and all your usual DSPs to get your the podcast from, and on YouTube. And
if anyone's still listening to this, well done. You get a free t-shirt. If you've listened to the end, leave a comment.
Yeah.
So we know you've listened to the end.
And actually, no, tell us who you'd like Ashton Kutcher to be matched up with.
Yeah. Right, done.